The Secret Service and the Super Secret Show. Oh, 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 yeah. The Secret Service and the Super Secret Show. And if you didn't, now you know. Okay, I have to apologize to everybody for that. That's the first time I've done that. I'm working on it. I'm going to get you guys a nice little opening sequence, as they call them in the business. I'm here live from the Secret Service Sam Batcave, and I'm very excited to have my guest on tonight. She was somebody who was a very familiar face at the Diddy trial for the entirety of the Diddy trial, not just somebody who shows up towards the end, when she put in all of the work. She's an amazing YouTuber. Let me bring her on. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Nique at Night. How are you doing?
Hey, how y'all doing? How you doing?
Hey. Let me give you a little. Oh, sorry.
You had to rep California.
Yes, I know, right? Hold on. Shoot, Sam, can I do this? LA, That's
LA.
right.
I'm not from
That's right.
LA in the
Where
house.
are you from originally?
Born and raised in California.
Oh, okay, got it. But you were because see, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri originally. I moved to LA and probably about 25 years ago almost. 23 or so.
Oh yeah, no,
Um
this is my roots. Born and
it's
raised.
your roots, yeah. But you know
Yeah.
what's funny? I've been in LA now longer than I grew up in St. Louis. So I consider myself an Angelino now.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
It'd be like
Now,
it's.
what'd you say?
I said it'd be like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be honest, when I lived in St. Louis, I had never had proper Mexican food. I had only eaten at chains like called like Chewy's and stuff like that. And then I move out here and you see the street tacos, the elote, the fruit stands. Like I never would have thought to eat my fruit with lemon and tahine. I was like, forever, I would buy fruit from, the stands out here. And I was like,
Mhm.
lemon, tahine, what? And then one day I'm like, all right, let me try this. And mango with lemon and tahine is one of the most delicious things ever. And it's just like, you get so much culture living in California, that in the Midwest, it was kind of impossible in a way for me to get to a certain point.
Right, right.
Yeah. But so Neat, tell everybody about yourself. My obviously you're a YouTuber. I mean, a big star. I mean, I saw people coming up to you at the trial, like, oh my God, fanning out and everything. And we never really got to meet formally. So I just want you to kind of tell everybody who you are and kind of what kind of work you do.
I'm a YouTuber based in California. I have been doing YouTube for quite a long time now. And I've been covering trials for quite a long, you know, time as well. I
Hmm.
did my first trial. It was the Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion case. That was a
Oh, okay.
was obviously widely talked about. Me and a YouTuber by the name of Street TV, we were the first to
Okay.
release all of the pertinent exhibits that were admitted in trial. We broke the internet with that because before all of the legacy media could tell you what happened in the trial, me and Street TV broke the news to the internet
Right.
with the actual jail call, the actual evidence of Meg in the stretcher, the body cam footage. We were the ones that got it and put it out there. And I furthered on covering trials with Ti and Tiny. I did the ASAP Rocky trial, and then now
Okay.
Diddy. But in between doing Diddy and in-person coverage, I've covered tons of trials like virtually as well.
Wow. I mean, see, I didn't know all that. And I'm, if you think of it, just a virgin to these trials. The Diddy trial was my first trial to cover. And it's so fascinating, just being inside the courtroom and really, seeing the inner workings of our court system. But That's so amazing, like how much experience you actually have with this. Um, and doing that because I think a lot of people don't realize they hear a YouTuber or an influencer like, oh, this is just some kid. And they don't realize, like, how highly educated and just how like investigative and how independent media, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, were the ones breaking these stories. And like, talk to me a little bit about how you felt being independent media compared to we were all there with every single TMZ, New York Times, Rolling Stone, ABC, NBC. How did you feel competing with all of that? And the respect that you get for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, this wasn't my first trial. So when I went into it, I came week 2 of the trial. So Cassie had already did her testimony, and then the following week I came week 2 when Don Richard was on the stand, Cassie's mom was on the stand, Kid
Uh-huh.
Cudi on the stand. So I came week
Don
2.
Richard. I did
Yeah,
this.
Don Richard.
Okay.
So when I
No,
came,
sorry.
I didn't really have like a big competitive, like, oh, I'm gonna be competing with everybody. I just came in. There was
Right.
already content creators who covered week 1. So I figured people who really wanted to hear about the trial, they kind of already designated a couple people that they were gonna watch. I came week 2. So when I came, I just
Hmm.
was coming to deliver to my audience. I wasn't there to compete with people, but it got real competitive and it's
Right.
really nasty that what's going on overall. But I wasn't there for the competition of it all. I just was there for me hearing a high profile case, loving to hear these things firsthand and deliver it to my
Mhm.
audience.
Yeah. And I think kind of what happened a little bit is some creators, um they look for little storylines to create in a way to make it about themselves. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm in danger, or you know what I mean? Creating these kind of side stories. And I get it, we're all in entertainment. So, but it's interesting. Like, I'm a comedian, and some people are, so I'm trying to operate in honesty of what I see in there. And but some people you realize are kind of salacious and they're like, oh my God, so Diddy's team is dying on the vine, like when maybe they aren't, or just over dramatic. And of course, I'm dramatic, so I understand a little bit. But like, where did you fall in terms of your reporting? Did you come out, were you originally thinking, oh, Diddy was going down, and did your opinion change? Or how did your opinion change, if it did, throughout the trial from your
My
coverage?
my opinion did not ever change.
Mm,
I am a person who, no matter if I like a person or dislike a person, that
mhm,
I rely on the facts. And the
mm,
facts of the case for me as it pertains to Rico, I feel like they did show how there was inner workings between his staff, but I didn't really know if they quite proved the Rico from the on.
right,
And I was waiting for it to be the big, like, okay, they prove like he's going down for Rico. I never had that, I was always kind of like,
right,
I feel like they showed how his staff was doing certain things, but I really didn't know. The only thing that I felt secure about and what I felt like, okay, I feel like they proved was Cassie. I felt like they
right.
proved Cassie with the transportation of the escorts because
Which he was guilty, so.
they showed the hotel records. They showed him being flown in. They showed the damage to the hotels. They showed text messages between them. So I felt like that was a slam dunk. Now, where he wasn't found guilty of S trafficking, I thought that when he was, putting his hands on her and, her having to perform no matter what, I thought that that was proven too. Um,
Mhm,
but the other things as it pertains to Jane,
right,
thought that that was a wash. And my position on how I felt about Cassie, how I felt about um that, it was the same throughout. Like it never changed.
right. Yeah, agreed. I think that's what a lot of people say is when Jane Doe was talking about the $100,000 budget for her Turks and Caicos trip. Just how many people? I'm like, I'd go on a trip with Diddy if I could just plan a trip to, you know, can we go scuba diving, Diddy? And by the way, Sam, though, there is one little catch. You're like, what? You know, but it didn't. I remember coming out of the courtroom that day, and a lot of people, and even the jury, kind of. I saw one of the jury guys kind of like scratching his head, like $100,000 budget doesn't sound like coercion for a birthday trip. You know what I mean? And a $15,000 birthday dinner. So yeah, it's just interesting how being inside the courtroom, I keep saying we almost have a totally unique perspective above what anybody else knows. Because, for example, Jane Doe, I keep saying she talked like this, and everything was so breathy, and it was blissful. We were walking along the beach, and Sean was holding my hands, and he had a
Thing is,
lobster dinner waiting, and you're like, and you know, oh, yeah,
it's
sorry. We kept waiting for like, okay, where's the celebrity freak offs? Where is the underage people involved in this? And we kept waiting for this explosive testimony. And Don Richard, sorry, I was laughing because earlier I was like Don Richards, and everybody's like Sam, it's Richard, and I was like, dang, okay. But like her whole thing where she was kidnapped for 5 days. And then Miss Westmoreland was like, but you went home every night? Like, that doesn't sound like, you know what I mean? So there's just, it was fascinating to see how
um,
Diddy's,
if I'm not sure, you can ask your audience that's viewing, but your camera is like blurry. I'm not sure if your Wi-Fi is messing up
oh,
or
really?
yeah, it's kind
Oh,
of blurry.
Lord. My camera is blurry?
Yeah, it's kind
That's
of
no
blurry.
good. Let me see
You can ask the
something.
people that's watching, like, it am I coming
Yeah,
out
let me ask.
kinda I
Okay, let me
like,
see.
from what I'm seeing on
Y-
my screen, I look clear and
Yeah.
then you look, like, really blurry. So
Really? Well, thankfully, because you're the much prettier one anyway. People are saying in the comments, Nique looks so pretty.
oh, thank you.
Um, they love Nique. I love her. So let me see. I just asked somebody, you're blurry, Sam. Why am I so blurry? I don't even, I mean, I look normal on my end. I wonder if, uh, I don't know. I don't want to mess up.
Oh, he went out. "Hey, y'all." No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but I think if
It's
probably
your show now. Does that look any
probably
better?
if you turn off, like, however many people are using Wi-Fi or how many devices are using it, it probably will improve because I think it's Wi-Fi related.
It's Wi-Fi. Oh, great. That's what somebody is saying down there. I mean, my Wi-Fi should be pretty decent. Am I still very blurry?
It's a little better when you came back.
Okay.
It's like
Um,
streaks of
well,
light.
well, let's keep going. Let me.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know in case you know.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, somebody said she is gorgeous. Yes,
Thank you.
blurry. But we have to all agree if one of us should be blurred out, it is me. So I think it's okay. They can hear my voice. Um, so Neek, what is next for you after this Diddy coverage? Like what case or what story are you really feeling the need to cover now?
Well, for me, I'm more of I like real stories from real not that celebrities aren't real, but I don't really
Right?
cover or I don't really like a lot of celebrity stories. I do love the high profile cases of celebrity cases, but as far as like everyday thing, I love everyday stories of everyday people, like everyday regular people on Facebook calling out, they mama did this, they daddy did
Hmm.
this. Like those are the that I really love. And so as I
uh,
see certain things happen online, I just cover it. So there's no particular story or It's just like as it comes. And then if there's like a high profile case, then I'll cover it. But I really
Mhm.
gravitate to the normal everyday people, the people who, I took a picture with my kid's father, or my kid's father took a picture with my child and didn't dress my baby like everybody, like those type of stories that go viral online.
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay, that's funny.
it has an element that a lot of people can relate to. Like different people have a situation where if they're not with their kid's father, or different people have a relation to stories that have to deal with cheating and infidelity, but they like it better from my audience when it's like
Yeah,
regular everyday people and regular everyday things that they can relate to. So that's
right.
like
And
next to
what
me.
did you
Just
think from
story that connects to me.
yeah, okay, I love that. And then, with the Diddy trial, how many did you hear me?
Oh, I was waiting for you to finish. You
Nique?
said with the Diddy trial, how many
Oh. Oh, I said how many I'm sorry.
I was waiting.
How many how
How many
how many days were you actually inside the courtroom?
so when
Somebody tell me to wipe my camera, hold on.
I came I came week 2 of the Diddy trial. So
Okay, right.
the very first day I came, Don Richard was on the stand.
Okay.
And I showed up at like 5 a.m. And then so many creators or YouTubers or independent people showed up close to
Mhm.
6 almost 7. And a bunch of people just bombarded the line and cut. So where I would have been in the main courtroom for the first day, that day I was in the overflow. The rest of the week, I was like, I'm not playing that. You're not cutting in front of me. I'm not allowing you to cut. Like, it's going to be a problem if you do. So, the second week of trial, I was there for all of the days that trial went on, except for that first day. Now, when I came back to court, um, I have been hearing rumblings from different creators about different nastiness, different arguments, different things that was happening with oh,
Mhm.
my camera is much better now. Different arguments that was happening. So I said, you know what? When I come back, I'm just going to go to the overflow. I'm gonna sleep in. Court starts at
Mhm.
9. I'm
Yep.
not gonna show up at 5 a.m. And I'm just gonna show up 9 a.m., get to the court and listen, because in the overflow room, what a lot of people or some people who you can hear a lot better. And in
Yeah.
the overflow,
Yeah.
you can't see every minute of the jury, but you can see a direct camera on the witness close up,
Right. Yeah.
and you can
And
see,
you see Diddy and you can see Diddy's face, which when we're in the courtroom, we can't see his face. His head is, his back of his head
yeah,
is,
you can. So when I would go into the overflow, I enjoyed it because you can relax. If you had a long night the night before, you didn't sleep
Yeah.
that day, you could nod off and then you could get right back. But if you're in
Right.
the main courtroom, you can't. You're not
You
supposed to.
get kicked out. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're not
The
supposed to eat in the overflow, but people had their snacks in the overflow.
Yeah, they don't the
Eating
overflow is
snacks,
like yeah, overflow is
having lunch
wild.
basically in the overflow, and you just sitting there chilling, watching the trial, taking
Yeah, like
notes
popcorn.
and
Yeah.
everything like that. But in the main courtroom, it's like you're on drill sergeant. You got to sit up.
Yeah, church. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can't nod
you're like
off.
this.
You gotta, if you blink too hard or if your mouth move like it looked like something in it, you're being berated.
You're
And
out.
I'm like,
Yeah. The
I'm
guy would come up. He'd be like, "What part of no talking do you not understand?" And we're like, "This is a federal court." And you're like, "Oh my god!"
yeah,
Like they would get angry with you. There was no playing around at all.
yeah. It was
Now,
it was intense. So I
Nick,
protected my peace when I went
yes,
back.
yeah, woosah. I now tell people about your experience in the line because people don't understand how with line butting, with paying for line sitters, how eventually we have people who keep the list in the line. Just explain your experience in the line.
So like I said, my experience, the very first day I got there was Don Richard's testimony. That was week 2
Hmm.
of the trial.
Hmm.
And when I got there, I showed up at 5 a.m. I was
Hmm.
there before many, many, many creators. A lot of creators that particular day showed up almost 7 a.m. And when they came, there was one person who allowed like 5 people to cut. And then when he allowed people to cut, then people start seeing them cut and they cut. So it bumped me back. So at that point, you start to feel a little slighted because it's like, I showed up on time. You're not respecting my time.
Right.
And it's light rate disrespectful, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's some people who they say they got a line sitter, but you see them get in line and the line
Right.
person that's supposed to be the line sitter didn't get out of line. And so the whole week when I was showing up at 5 a.m., I would see people literally, um, and I'm like, listen, I'm number 5 in line. I don't care what you
Right.
for me. I don't care what you do. After you get in front
Right.
of me, it's gonna be a problem.
It can
Now,
be a problem. Yeah.
after you decide after spot 5 to do what you do, that's fine. But
Yeah.
people would act like they had line sitters and then
Yeah.
like start a conversation and then just merge into the line. So then people who would get bumped out, they would feel some type of way about it. They would get
Yeah.
angry. I mean,
Yeah, that slick move. They always try and do the, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So was this the Diddy trial and everything?" And then like, no. Like, I love that people try and act like they're having a conversation with somebody and then slip in the line. And you're like, we're not dumb. I
yeah,
saw somebody who just came right to the front of the line and just walked in, like, because that's the thing. If you don't have any etiquette, like, you really, people just go to the front of the line. Who's Tanya Garrett saying she's fake? Who's fake?
oh, I have no idea.
I don't either. But anyway, it's just, yeah, it's the line. I called it like Hunger Games line,
Yeah, it was.
because when you're there, you can have people come and butt you. I saw one of the guys who we set a police report against, um, myself and another creator, Queen. We had a police report against him because he slammed our phones down and everything. But it's just like, people don't understand. Like, there's so many crazy people in this line, and this guy he camped out, sold his spot to this woman for $300, and we were telling the lady, like, he's banned from going in that court building. He just sold you a place in the line that he doesn't have, and so then all hell breaks loose. And it's just like, people don't understand, like, every morning you really are, you don't know what's going to happen. It's very dangerous and volatile in that line. Yeah, they do. Hi, celebrity scandalous, how you doing? Shout out to you. Yes, they need a way better process
The only
for
other
that line for the
that I
public.
went into the main courtroom was the charge conference. And that
Oh,
was when
okay.
I came back. It was like the last week of trial. They did the charge conference, and that
Hmm.
was slated to start at like 2. I
Okay.
showed up to the court at like 1:30, and ironically I made it in line, but I noticed that there was a different system with different things going on, and it was interesting as well. So,
Hmm. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I thought part of the something I've learned a little bit in processing. I was talking with, what's her name, Natalia Rubin. I might have messed up her first name. The woman who was actually puned in the face by Diddy, excuse me, in that club. The whole incident where Shine went to prison, and it was just a reminder in all of this that, even though Diddy got off for the more serious charges, that it's just like, keeping in mind, like, that he's not, obviously not a good person, a very scary person that you wouldn't, so I think when people mistake that some influencers were celebrating the verdict or anything, I felt like, and I don't know how you feel, I was literally sitting there with my live, just showing all my followers what was happening. But I was almost like, I was exhausted. You're on so little sleep, it's
yeah.
emotionally draining. You're like, oh my God, this chapter of all of our lives is finally over. In a weird way, people don't realize we committed to the reporting of this trial, and we committed to, like you said, Dawn Richard, her testimony was gut wrenching. People don't know, like, she was telling the story like this, like she was crying, and I'm not doing that to make fun of her. I'm trying,
No,
like, it was
I talked about how she was making that little baby voice, and then every time, like, Nicole Westmoreland would go, she would, like, talk like in a baby voice.
yeah,
And I'm like, what's happening?
yeah.
Weird.
But it's interesting because we took on all that. So I think when we got the verdict, a lot of us are like, praise the Lord, we're done with this. We can close the book on this Diddy coverage. And so that was a lot of the celebrating you were seeing outside. But were you there when all that was going on and all the baby oil? And I'm yelling, it's a freak off, it's a freak off. You know what I mean? And Armand's getting
I
baby
was
oil down.
I
Yeah,
was
I was live too.
captured I captured everything that happened up until it was time for us to go into the court for the bail hearing. I was live for an hour and something, and then
Okay.
everybody went inside for the bail hearing. And then when we went inside for the bail hearing, we were in there for like an hour waiting in the
Yeah.
overflow room. And then they told us that there was a delay. But yeah, I captured a lot of the true and correct events that
I
happened.
mean, remember what was her name? Brandy. She's the real outlandish girl who like was just in basically a bra and a skirt, and like, she was getting all oiled up in the middle of it. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Brandy?
Brandy. I'm not sure what her name is. I'll have to, maybe somebody in the comments remember. But I know Armand, I felt so bad for him because a lot of people were getting, dragging him for that, like a celebration. And it was like letting people know, like, we weren't celebrating Diddy. Barney, yeah, I think, yeah, the Tea Lounge. What's up? How you doing? Hey,
Yeah, I think
the
he
Tea
made a
Lounge. Hey, what's
response.
up, Joe Fox? Do you think the Diddy trial is bigger than the OJ trial, Joe Fox? Joe Feezy, shout out to Joe Fox, good comedian.
You back glitching again. He froze up. So
Excellent comedian, good friend of mine. What do you think, OJ trial?
you're glitching again, but I think what you said was, do I think that the Diddy trial was bigger than the OJ trial? Um, I don't think I don't think so. I think that it was a huge trial for this decade, but I don't think that it was bigger than the OJ trial because the OJ trial had a racial component. I feel like there was a divide between black people, injustice, the system versus white and it was this whole, around the time of the Rodney King beatings and all of these different injustices that people as black people were having with cops and authority. And I think that
Mm.
made it a lot bigger to me for that time period for what it meant to everyone involved. I think that Diddy is obviously a big case, and his case is much bigger than any of the cases that I've covered, and it's like a big case of this time period, but I don't think that it's bigger than OJ to me. But
I don't we're spinning a little bit here. Can you hear me, Nique?
yeah, I can hear you. Your thing
I,
started to
okay,
get
sorry.
blurry again. But yeah,
I apologize
I
for
just
that.
I don't think that it's bigger than I don't think it's bigger than OJ because every single if I talk to my cousins, my family, not all of them know every detail about Diddy trial. Like I'll talk to my cousin and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I seen a headline," but they're not as invested. When the OJ trial happened, there is not a single family member, friend, colleague. There's not like a store that you went into that they were not talking about the OJ trial. Like everybody was
Right.
talking about that. The Diddy trial,
Yeah.
call anybody, prick a random person in your phone and be like, "Hey, do you know about this part about the Diddy trial?" Like a lot of your contacts are going to be oblivious to what, you know, was happening.
And OJ was televised, which is a good point. The T Lounge says is, could you imagine if this had been televised? I wonder if the public would have been thinking more how we were reporting, that it just didn't seem like a RICO if they could see and hear what was actually happening in the courtroom instead of just reading about it. It's kind of like when you text somebody, there's no, you can't hear a voice, you know what I mean? There's no tone in it. So you might think somebody's angry and they're like, oh no, I'm just telling you. So I think seeing and hearing people's body language makes a big difference.
I think that makes a huge difference because when all of us are there and everybody's reporting stark contrasts to what they see, the audience only has themselves to just, okay, they just go with who they like better. But
Yeah,
that doesn't necessarily mean who you like better is giving you the accurate facts of the case. So to weed out all of that fodder, I think that it would have been better if it would have been shown because people would have been able to have a firsthand account of what was said, and then
right.
they can go off of their favorite creator how they interpreted it, but they would at least have an independent account because there's so much big stark contrasts in people who are deemed Diddy supporters if you don't agree,
Yeah.
or
People have called me a Diddy supporter.
people who do agree with, Cassie's side. Like there would
Mhm.
be at least an individual account of it, and then you can go based off of who you like their interpretation of it.
Yeah. And I think it was actually, now thinking about it, a great advantage to people like us because, one thing I realized early, people couldn't see Diddy. There was no pictures. So for me to be like, guys, he's in a Mr. Rogers white cream sweater. You can kind of see the bone on his shoulder. He looks skinny. His hair is gray, but there's a little bit in the front where it's black still. And
Yeah.
he's turning around and giving heart emojis to us in the courtroom. All those things became so unique to us being able to, like there was not a picture. So we became describing what we could see in the courtroom, which I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, I enjoy seeing for myself firsthand because some of the sketches of Diddy were like crazy. Like that I'm
You're
like,
like, are you on acid? Like, what are those? And what about, did you ever see the one woman? Her name was Christine Cornell. She's one of the white lady with the white
I don't know
hair.
their names, any of the sketches.
Okay, she was COVID coughing the entire. She's like, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" Like Miss Combs, the whole family, they started wearing masks because like it sounded like she had this terrible cold, but she wouldn't take a day off. There was some people in the press who actually complained about her, so she had to wear a mask because she had some just like really bad sounding pneumonia, Diddy pneumonia.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know about that. I don't
So
know about that at all. But
So, what was your favorite piece of testimony from the trial?
um I I was there for Kid Cudi's testimony and
Oh, talk about that. I was
I
not
just
there. I was so mad.
really was glued to it, because it was the second week of the trial. Cassie's mom testified the day after Kid Cudi. So I missed Cassie. So I really was enamored to know like what did he do? How did he break into his house? Did he,
Mhm.
what was he going to say? So when Kid Cudi came in, I was in the main courtroom and it
Okay.
was like this grand thing when they opened the door and he walked in,
Yeah.
has his leather jacket, and the whole courtroom is sitting because I was there. I seen all of the other people because Kid Cudi was like on a Thursday, and so all
Okay.
of the other days, every time a witness came in, there wasn't really a big, looking back.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We would look, but not
When
like a
Kid Cudi
celebrity.
had came to testify, it was bumper to bumper inside the main courtroom. It was like the seats were like packed, and then as soon as he comes in, you can see like the whole courtroom is just like breaking their neck to look back to watch him enter in. And I remember one guy was sitting behind me, he was like, "Ooh, this is dramatic,"
Hmm.
like the drama of it all. And then when he got on, I feel like he kind of dumbed down certain things that happened between him and Diddy, but that was like um the biggest thing, because that was like the first highlight that I saw, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to say my biggest one was maybe like Brianna. And here's something interesting I talked about on an earlier show that I had never thought about. When Miss Westmoreland said she had the picture of like the softball sized wound from being thrown from the balcony onto the balcony furniture, it was September 26th, the day the picture was taken, but they said that's impossible because Diddy was in New York. And she brought up a good point, but Diddy has a private plane. So to the layman, and a lot of us are thinking, well, yeah, he couldn't, how's he in New York and LA at the same time? But when you factor in he has a private plane, that makes you think like, well, maybe he could have, And so it's just interesting though, again, how good the lawyers were into kind of tricking you, to where I remember being like, she was dangled over that balcony. This is insane. To then being like, I'm not so sure what to believe now.
Yeah, Westmoreland was a beast for sure.
I called her the bulldog, man. She was so
Yeah,
amazing.
she was definitely a beast, because the way that she did Don, I'm like, as a viewer, I was like, "Oh my god," but if I was on the stand, like, I would
Yeah,
not have had a good week, a good year, because the way that she did it was just so like, "This is vicious." But
right.
that's what they're paying
That's what they're paid for. It's hard, man. They're paid to like box you in a corner, act nice, and then start just laying like uppercuts on you, you
Yeah,
know?
like every time Brian Steele would get up there, I was like, I would see his method to his madness. He would always
Hmm.
start off with boasting about the person on the stand. Like when he got up there and he was talking to Brendan Paul, he's like, "You made it into Syracuse, and
Right.
you got all these accolades, and at a very young age you were able to accomplish working for a mogul, and you were successful here, and wouldn't isn't it fair to say that you accomplished a lot for your life?" And then the person is on the stand and they're like, "Is he baiting me?" But then they're like, "Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah." And then so
I
then they
mean, yeah.
go there like boasting up, like, "It's fair to say that you enjoyed working for Diddy, you enjoyed, like,
Correct.
and then like they start to pull out all of these nice things about Diddy. And then when they get into discrediting the narrative or the accusations that the government said, then you sitting there and you like,
Hmm.
well, he wasn't a drug mule, because 0.7 grams really ain't,
No.
trafficking work, so
No.
they
No.
were very, very, very skilled in how they went at the witnesses for sure.
Yeah, it's so smart. It's, I mean, that was the thing. I felt so bad for Don Richard, and because you were there that day too. But I came out of there saying, I don't know if this is a Rico after that. And I also felt terrible for her because she put it all out on the stand. She was crying most of the time. And then Miss Westmoreland just totally broke her story down to where it felt like, yeah, why did she keep coming back? Or, it made you start asking questions. And so, yeah, it was
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, and all the way they tried, yeah, the drug mule thing is so crazy. And even like Diddy, I remember I was in there and they show his like little Gucci bag, and like, here's where he kept the Obama Mollies, and he had some of this, and it's like, who doesn't have their personal stash? And wouldn't you expect a celebrity to, whatever their, choice of, whatever they like to party with, of course they're gonna carry it around. It wasn't like they ever found kilos and stacked away in Star Island and underground bunkers or a meth lab, or you know what I mean? Like there was just none of that. I
Mm.
have Donat has made his way. That man is lying, just a cultural grifter and racist shock jock. There was nothing wrong with Diddy's mom that's so disrespectful to black women. No, thank you, Donat, for your lovely comment. I was saying, Miss Combs, when the woman, the court painter, was coughing so much, like a lot of the family, you would see them kind of visibly scoot down as we were all would look around at each other when she would cough. It was nasty. But thank you, Donat, for your lovely comment.
Hopefully you and did not
Um,
make up.
well, to be honest, I had said, originally, if people don't know, when Gene Deal and him had a, let's call it, a discussion in an elevator, everybody comes out and they say, "Oh, he got knocked out," and so I mistakenly reported that, and I quickly, like I said, when as a comedian, as a reporter, if something's wrong, you quickly correct it. I apologize, but apologies are not always what people want. You know what I mean? And so yeah, Donat is. I wish him the best. He did make a video
I
on
do a
he
lot
did
of
make a video on me where
um,
he said he wishes I unalive myself. So that
um,
wasn't very sweet. So I'm like, but anyway. And
that,
but
but
that was a lot of the experience of this whole thing where I know being a white creator, people's eyes were on me as though I'm potentially somebody coming in, dipping off the culture and celebrating the downfall of another black celebrity, or you know what I mean. And that's not what I was here for. It started out comedy covering the folklore, and then when it came down to the case, the Wall Street Journal um, contacted me randomly. Is like, hey, we want to talk to you. And I was like, okay. So then I went to the jury. I went to jury selection, and then I just kind of stayed. Going back and forth.
yeah, well, I didn't hear all of the back and forths. I think that if you reported something wrong, I think that you did have a duty to respond and correct it. So you corrected it. And
Yeah.
I think where Denat was mad is that instead of people listening to, I guess, other people's account, they automatically took your word because they're
Right. Because
like,
I'm white and the way I look.
yeah, that like this white guy, he has a suit on and
Mhm.
you're reporting something and they're taking it like you're saying it factual. So I think that's what
Right.
like his axe to grind with it was, but off of
Yes.
that, I don't want to, I don't want to
No, but you know what? And that's something that I told him I was sorry about. I understand the cultural significance of what you said. I personally, as a comedian, I just didn't think of the harm that it could cause. Of like saying that he got knocked out was a hit to him. That people believe he got knocked out. That's a hit to his I don't know, his
rep-
ego. Or I understand, like, if somebody said Sam got bent over and blah, I'd be like, I'd be like, God dang, that's not. So I understand where I was quick to take something like the rumor mill, and everybody's like, did you hear, did you hear? I was like, oh shoot. And I'm like, we're just here, I'm like, guys, so this just in, not thinking it would go massively viral. Gene Deal was not happy with me about that, but again, all I could do was correct what I said was wrong, and do that. But I understand the responsibility that I have to take on. But that's white privilege. It's not fair. I could walk into a place 10 out of 10 times, I'm going to get in, and maybe somebody like Donat would get questioned. Why are you, you know what I mean? So I understand um, that there's a difference, and I try to be as honest as I can. But Donat definitely was very hurt by that, and I apologize. But at the end of the day, all you can do is apologize and expect the other person to move along with you. So
yeah, that's all you
yeah,
could. We're not you can't be responsible for how people receive stuff. So, I mean, if
right, right,
you cross the line, or you can only be
yeah.
responsible for.
Yeah, and to be honest, once he had said he hopes I unalive myself and things like that. Like, I'm married, I have a family, and that just doesn't seem like somebody that has, it just sounds like, okay, why don't we respectfully leave each other alone? You know what I mean? Or like just kind of go I'll go this way, you go that way.
But moving
But
along.
anyway, sorry, thank you. So I'm glad we covered that because that has been around. So anyway, you guys, this was awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to cover, Nique, at all, or any last thoughts from the court you want to
Um,
share with people?
I think that the sentencing is gonna be interesting because
Right,
I think that like when I covered Tory Lanez, a lot of the celebrities that was quiet and didn't say anything throughout the trial and waited to see the
hmm
outcome, then they started to put in all of these support letters and all of these things. So all of the celebrities that people have been waiting to hear from, I think that now that the most serious charges are dropped, when it comes to that sentencing, you're going to hear from different people submitting letters, different people going and supporting and coming from out of the shadows with their support.
right,
So it's going to be interesting to see who steps up and actually shows their support now that the main S trafficking and the main,
right. Yeah. Well, DJ Khaled, we got another one. Is he going to show up? I think this is so hilarious. You see, Tanae says you're married to a woman. Yeah, I don't know why people think I'm gay a lot, but I am straight. I hate to disappoint people. Which doesn't mean you can't be married, have children, and still be gay. But I love women. I don't know. They're natural. It's just so much magic within a woman that I just can't really. Men don't do it for me. I think you're funny, Sam. That's why I followed you through the Diddy trial. What'd you say?
no, I was saying hey to them in the chat.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Nique, for hopping on with me. I know this was a little crazy. We had some technical difficulties and everything, and I just appreciate you coming on here because I realize your platform on YouTube is huge, and I appreciate you sharing your platform with me and helping me grow my platform.
Yeah, I
Even if he is gay, that's his
um,
business. Yeah, that's true.
people don't really be asking me to do interviews and stuff like that. So,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Oh,
I'm like,
great.
why not?
No, and you're amazing. I mean, you're so great on camera. You look amazing on camera and everything, and you're just so talented. So, yeah, very entertaining and informative. Somebody said.
Maybe
So,
potent pandering will have me on his YouTube too.
oh, who's potent pandering?
The
I don't know of him,
YouTubers,
but thank you, potent
he's
pandering.
a YouTuber. But yeah, I don't be doing a lot of interviews and stuff. I
Okay.
because a lot of times, you said why I thought this was a
No, this is live, you guys. We are live. La 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 live. What you're seeing is what you're getting.
these is wigs.
You're
I got a
hilarious.
wig so quick.
No, you look amazing. Me too. This is look.
Thank you, celebrity scandalous. Um,
Yeah.
she said, "Well, I'm asking you next, Nique. Well, you got to get me while I'm in the mood. If you do it today, I'll do it. If you ask me to, if you ask me to interview today before the next 2 hours, I'll do it. But after that,
Yeah.
I'll be
Oh
out of
yeah.
the.
Have you heard, sorry to interrupt. Have you heard this rumor about the judge overturning because of the alternate juror speaking out? I did see somebody talk about that, but I haven't seen anything to verify that at all. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. But yeah, I think we had a wonderful live session here. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, dope nerd. Thank you. She was amazing today. I had a great conversation with her. Nique, let's do this anytime you want to. I'd love to
It
hop
was a
on here with
pleasure.
you.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
me. And it was a
yeah,
pleasure
no,
meeting
anytime.
you at the trial.
You
Um,
too.
I feel like there will be another trial, and I don't think that, we'll have one anytime soon with the magnitude of Diddy level, but hey, who knows? All these YouTubers might be. Are you going to sentencing?
I'm gonna see. I want to see how I feel. Obviously, they're talking about it. It's in like October 3rd. I had a lot of just kind of like negative energy around that court building. Just certain people who, they don't like me, and I can't help that. But then it's like forcing yourself to get close to people who really don't like you. So yeah, I most likely will, just because it's not like I'm going to let people stop me, but I realize it's taken me some time to kind of decompress and almost pull off some of and I had negative energy that I was still going after things, you know what I mean? Like, and I had to kind of get back to my LA lifestyle of like running in the morning, my coffee, peace, not waking up on the street, basically waiting in line for this Diddy trial. So I don't know about you, but I've really had to shed a lot of the negative energy away from the trial and just kind of get back to some more positivity, because there's a lot around that court building people don't quite understand.
Yeah, they definitely don't understand. I mean, it's one of those things where you just had to kind of be there, and it's
That
not.
part, Miss Marie.
It's like one of those things you had to kind of be there, and then you had to realize that on social media, people have one perception to their
Hmm.
audience, and then they could be a totally different way in person to people in real life. But
Right.
you know, there's different energies, different phoniness, different fakeness, different backbiting, different people
Yeah.
blocking people's opportunity. It was a lot of different things that go on, and sometimes it's best to just decompress, because I was checked out of the trial. I wasn't gonna wait till the verdict. I was checked out because nobody was bothering me. I wasn't getting into arguments or fights or anything like that with anybody, but
Hmm.
I'm the type of person that just because you don't do something to me personally doesn't mean that I don't peep like I'm one of those people that like if I see you doing something scandalous to somebody else, just because you didn't do it to me doesn't make me feel like, you know what I mean? It make me feel like
Right.
it could be me next,
Right.
like
I don't trust you then. Hmm.
yeah, like it was a lot of stuff that was happening to where it was like, oof, let me,
It was.
just stay kind of, cordial, but it was just a lot
Yeah.
of different little stuff that was I was like, oof, this is how y'all get down? Like, wow.
Right. Yeah, and it brought out the worst in everyone, I think, because it was like Survivor in a way, like it was just a lot of things. I see JC Talks in the comments. How are you doing? JC, I don't know if you've seen BJ is still at it with her latest. I don't know if you guys know, she had her fiance come on. I'll just show these terrible pictures real quick that she did on Diamond and JC, who was in the chats, two amazing women who I sat in, and she did this stuff defaming them, and just disgusting. You guys can go back and watch our videos on the coverage of it, but yeah, no, Miss T Lounge was there as well. So all kinds of drama
If
that
their
this.
audience could see how they reacted or received people that may be similar to one of their subbies, they would be disgusted. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. You brought that up. And I just like to tell people, I always brag about this. When you meet me on day one, I will be the same on day 1001. You know what I mean? I pride myself on consistency, and that the person you're seeing here coming through your camera, you come up to me and talk to me in the streets, and as long as you're respectful to me, I'll be respectful to you. I would have live streamers like film me from across the street, and I come up and like, hello, do you want to introduce? And they're like, they'd think was being rude, and I'm just like, just uh being nice, but not everybody is how they seem. We know, you might think, oh man, you're killing it. People are always like, Sam or somebody else, you're killing it, and that's just on Instagram. It might, life in pictures is not life in reality. So not all these people are created equal, these creators.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that situation. I had
Yeah, thanks, JC.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't. That was one of them days. I wasn't showing up in the morning for all of that hoopla.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, and it was hoopla
that
for
happened.
real.
I didn't see any of that. I don't know about it. But there was a lot of cutthroat stuff happening in the line,
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of disrespectful stuff happening in the line that I did witness. I didn't witness you said the girl BJ. I didn't witness that. I
She
wasn't
was
there.
there just the last day, and yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that.
Yeah. So anyway, this was such a great interview and discussion with you. It was so nice to like get to meet you formally. But yeah, let's definitely do this some more. You know, if anything pops up, I would love to go live with you whenever you have time. So this
All
was
right,
just great.
sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you so much, Nique, and take care. And please, everybody, make sure if you're not following her, you do and pay attention to everything she's doing because she's brilliant and making it happen, like
All
all of us are.
right, thank
And keep
you. All right.
okay. Take care. Peace.